Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Saturday, May 13th. Got a day one Jaguars Rookie Minicamp recap for you. I'm not going to be able to make it out there today, celebrating my birthday with family and friends. It's not today, but it is on Monday. So I'm not going to be able to make it out there today, but I do have this recap for y'all, and let's go ahead and get into it. The Jaguars, they practiced from about 12 to 2 yesterday. Not an intense session. I did like what the coaches were doing. They were pushing the guys, but they were also making sure that they were staying hydrated. If they needed to take a break, let them know. I just thought that was a good way to get the guys acclimated. You weren't like overdoing it at rookie minicamp. I liked the balance of being demanding, but also being like, look, if you need anything, let us know. You got to be able to communicate. So I did like what I saw from the coaches and from that perspective. Getting into the players, right? This was rookie minicamp. There were like first year players and veteran invites and things of that nature, but it was mostly rookies out there. The Jaguars have 13 draft picks and a few more undrafted free agents that they signed. We'll go ahead and get into it here. Cooper Hodges and Daquan Jackson, local kids. You just love to see them be able to go out and live their dreams a little bit here, being able to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pretty cool stuff. And Cooper Hodges, he was a late round pick for the Jaguars out of Appalachian State, played a lot of games for them at right tackle. He lined up at right guard Friday next to Anton Harrison. So I think you'll definitely be seeing him play guard. The Jaguars told you that already, but more confirmation in that regard. Samuel Jackson, I got to give him a shout out just for the name alone, right? He's out of UCF, offensive lineman. Didn't see much from him, but just awesome to see a Samuel Jackson on the rookie minicamp roster. Kevin Austin was one of those year one guys, or first year guys, I should say. And he was out there. His hands looked improved. Like, this is a guy you've always been able to see the athleticism, right? But his hands, they looked better today. And we'll see if that continues. But that was kind of the biggest thing for him to lock down as an NFL receiver, was just being more consistent with his hands. We'll see if that's able to continue for him throughout the spring and summer. And if he's able to try to, kind of compete for a back end of the roster spot there. We'll see how it goes for him. A lot of people were fired up to get Kevin Austin last year. Anton Harrison, can't go too long without talking about the Jaguars' first-round pick, right? He looked massive, fluid, and just ready, prepared for the moment. And I know, again, this is not like a training camp practice. There's no pads. You're just wearing your helmets and going out there. It's not contact work or anything like that. But just looks good out there. A get off the bus guy for sure. He was working on the right side at right tackle, which was expected. But just a big, athletic, young guy that just turned 21 years old, has great length, great tape. I cannot figure out why Anton Harrison fell to 27, because I loved everything about him in the pre-draft process, and then you get out here on the field and you can tell this guy just looks the part. And so I think everything's stacking up for Anton Harrison to have a very good pro career for the Jaguars. He was a top 10 prospect for me. You can check the receipts on that. Loved Anton Harrison. Thought he showed everything that he possibly can show in a rookie minicamp, which is not a whole lot. Ventrell Miller, he worked off to the side, Jaguars' fourth-round pick linebacker out of the University of Florida. But you could see his energy and his work ethic, just kind of the enthusiasm he brings to the practice field. And he definitely does look the part from a physical standpoint. He has massive biceps. He looks like a guy that's going to make it in the league as a thumper type of linebacker. No timetable for his full return to practice, according to Doug Peterson, unfortunately. But I think when Ventrell Miller does get on the practice field, people are going to kind of start to see why the Jaguars valued him. Do I think they needed another linebacker at that spot? No, probably not. But I think you'll see why they valued the talent. Elijah Reed, really big receiver, 6'4", 215 pounds, out of San Jose State. We talked about him in the preview. Just looked really good in his final year at San Jose State. catching balls all over the field, being able to win on deep 9 routes, being able to be a possession receiver from the slot. Caught 10 touchdown passes and eclipsed 1,000 yards. He looked good out there, didn't drop anything. And this was just a really tall receiver group for the Jaguars outside of Parker Washington. And I asked Doug Peterson about that yesterday, and he said that wasn't necessarily their intention, but when you kind of look at bottom of the roster receivers, guys that can contribute on special teams, a lot of times it does end up being just bigger bodied receivers who can kind of match that physicality and have speed on special teams. So I thought that was a good answer from Doug there. But yeah, you had Elijah Reed was 6'4", Seth Williams 6'3", Jeray Jenkins 6'2", Jacob Harris 6'5", Martin 6'1". So it was all big guys that they invited here. Again, outside of Parker Washington, who was a draft pick. And Jacob Harris, speaking of him, he's at a UCF, 6'5", 220 pounds. Really interesting. He was drafted by the Rams like early on day 3 a couple years ago. So this is a guy that's big. He has speed to burn. He has good hands. I think he's an interesting one. Like, could the Jaguars figure out some sort of role for him? Hybrid kind of wide receiver, tight end role? I'm not sure. You're definitely not going to have him blocking, but lining up in that area of the field where tight ends kind of line up, I think you could get some real mismatches with Jacob Harris. I loved what I saw from Antonio Johnson, and it had nothing to do with like his actual play. Like, you see when you stand next to him and talk to him, you can see the height, the length that he brings to the table, no doubt about it. You could see the range he has at safety, but what I loved, he, after every play, after every rep, was immediately turning to the coach and looking for coaching, looking for teaching points. And players with his type of athleticism and skill level, and again, another very young player, constantly asking for coaching, that is a really good sign for what his development arc will be at the NFL level. And he's got all the athleticism and skill that you need at safety, and he was playing safety, not nickel. So I'm excited about what I saw from Antonio Johnson for sure. Eric Hallett, one of their other late round picks, played safety, played nickel at Pitt. He's playing corner, not safety. So that's something to make sure you keep your tabs on where some of these guys are actually lining up. Because like Antonio Johnson, people considered him a nickel to an extent coming out. He's a safety, right? Eric Hallett played more safety in college, but he's going to be a corner. Talk about Derek Parrish, that late round, edge rusher extraordinaire who they're switching to fullback. Not the first time Trent Baalke's tried to do that. Did have success with doing that with Bruce Miller, who was a big-time edge rusher in college, who they converted to fullback. I didn't really see a lot of reps from Derek Parrish, but what you did see was he's just a giant muscle. And you already knew that if you had seen any of his college tape or interviews or anything. He's yoked, man. This is a guy that is definitely going to be interesting to watch throughout the summer. See if he can bring the fullback back, right? In Jacksonville. Did not have a fullback on the roster in 2022. Britton Strange, I really liked what I saw. He did have a lot of work catching passes yesterday, whether that be in 7-on-7, 11-on-11, individual drills, having the entire offense lined up and going. He caught a lot of passes. What you saw from him was plucky hands. He was able to show late hands as well. And when you're able to snatch the ball out of the air, when you're able to not put your hands up early, defenders don't have any idea when the ball's coming. And so that's a really good sign from Britton Strange. He just looks like a really coordinated and natural receiver of the football. And he's a damn good athlete. You saw that on tape. I don't know why there was kind of this notion that he was just okay athletically, because that's not the case at all. This is a guy that has a really impressive floor and ceiling, in my opinion. Again, with his athleticism, the physicality he brings to the game. And I think he's going to be a better NFL player than he was in college because he's going to be asked to do more. Cornerback number 27, Devod Wilson, who is from UCF, I believe. He tipped a pass, and that was picked by linebacker Dax Holyfield. So you saw one turnover there. Christian Braswell, later in 11-on-11, had a near pick. where he just could not quite hang on to the football. So that was great to see from him. Another guy that the Jaguars took late in this draft that is going to be competing to maybe get nickel reps in 2023. We'll see how that goes. But I thought Braswell and Eric Hallett both looked pretty good. Guys that could be competing for nickel. And then Parker Washington, the last guy I wanted to bring up. He looked every bit the part that you would expect from him, because this is a guy that, look, he is shorter in stature, right? Only 5'10", but he weighs over 200 pounds, and you can see the muscle tone, the muscle on his frame, and I think you can really envision a role for him in Jacksonville, because people are like, oh, he's just going to play the same position as Christian Kirk. He's a slot. Yeah, well, that might be true, but you can get multiple slots on the field in these bunch formations and do a lot of different fun things with these guys. And Parker Washington, I mentioned Britton Strange was plucky with his hands. Parker Washington, same way. He snatches the ball out of the air. He doesn't let it get to his body. And so you see really good hands from both of those Penn State guys. I think they're going to be impact players, maybe not in year one, but down the road, I think both of them are going to have a bright future here in Jacksonville. That'll do it for this rookie minicamp recap. Appreciate all y'all for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo if there's anything I didn't talk about that you want to hear about, or drop a comment in the comment section below. You can ask any questions you may have. You can also like and subscribe. Really appreciate y'all's support. If you are on your podcast platform of choice, please subscribe and review. Y'all have a good one, Duval.